Well, hello there. It's the Paul Mash Show, episode 20 today. If you recall, we do anything here outside of music, but mostly tributes and things like that. And we got a great show coming up in just a second, but first, don't forget about the subscribe and bell buttons below you there. Check out the description and the closing credits at the end of the show, and we'll have contact info for you. And as always, leave a comment on the comment section. We'd love to hear from you there. On today's show, we have Bill Johnson. He's a Bob Hope tribute. And some of you probably remember Bob Hope from years ago. He was a legendary comedian, especially all the movies he did with Bing Crosby. And he's a great Bob Hope impersonator, and he's got a few things to tell us. So we're going to get to that in just a second, and it starts right now. Okay, we're back, and with us from Las Vegas, Nevada today, we have Bill Johnson. He's the Bob Hope tribute. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show, Bill.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, how did it begin for you? Because I know you look an awful lot like Bob, and that's probably what made you do this in the first place, but maybe it goes deeper than that. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your tribute to Bob Hope?
Well, I always enjoyed Mr. Hope growing up, watching the TV specials and such.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, fast forward to I was doing a job here, and I live in Las Vegas, and it was an interactive dinner show, and you could play the character any way you liked. And so I always liked Bob and those road pictures.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah,
so
but being
uh,
crossed. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, and so I would play my character as one of the characters like Lucky Jackson or some from Road to Rio or one of those other characters, and I had the best time. And then based on that, I was approached to perform at a military reunion by one of the people who saw the show, and so she said, "I'll get you a uniform. I want you to pretend to be Bob Hope." And so I thought, well, that's great. And just take pictures with guests just to feel to be kind of an atmosphere performer. Well, I had such a good time. I thought, well, maybe I'll pursue this. And when the show closed that I was in here, I did. So that's a long story made very short.
Hmm. Well, that's good, because I haven't known it too many people that tribute or even impersonate Bob Hope, other than Dave Thomas of SCTV. I mean, he did a perfect impression of him, I felt, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Even in fact, Bob Hope supposedly loved Dave's impression of him himself. So
Yeah, I always wondered about that, but I'm glad that Bob had a sense of humor about that.
yeah.
Um, well, what other entertainers besides like Bob and Bing Crosby and that did you also look up to? Were there some entertainers like that you enjoyed?
Well, growing up in as a kid in the early '70s and such, that I always enjoyed that was still the era of the variety show. So I enjoyed Dean Martin, um, and of course I'm not a singer, but the Rat Pack and
Mm-hmm.
characters of that ilk. And as a kid, one of my heroes besides Bob Hope was Roy Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him. So I'm a nostalgia guy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and you mentioned Dean Martin. Yeah, I remember when he used to have those celebrity roasts. He would have people like Kirk Douglas on, and they would be tributing them and kind of roasting them and everything. And it was always a pretty funny show. I remember.
Oh gosh, yeah, and the humor was pretty well. It was all the comedians that would come on were just would hit you with one liners because there wasn't a lot of time to develop a joke. It was just bang, 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 and that's how Bob Hope approached his humor, just one right after the other, and keep them coming.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, how can we find you? I mean, I'm sure you have your own website. I know you're on YouTube as well. Tell everybody how we can find you.
Well, I have my own website. I have a very common name. It's Bill Johnson, and my website is BillJohnsonEntertainment.com.
Okay.
And you can send a message via the website.
Okay. Well, you go there, and I'm sure you can find other ways to contact him as well. I know you're on Facebook as well, so check him out there. And I know you would. I know you're really gonna love everything he does there. We're gonna watch this video. It's It's about a 3 minute long video, but it shows you getting off a golf cart and going to this podium to speak. I was wondering, maybe you could set that up for us.
That was actually at the grand opening of the brand new theater at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. And in the crowd there, you can't see because it's a distance shot, but immediately to my left, camera right, is Tom Brokaw, and then next to him is Tom Hanks.
Oh,
and so they had given me just a couple of lines of dialogue to do with Tom Hanks, but they didn't tell me it was going to be with him until about a half hour prior to this, because that was, his appearance there was known, but not his involvement in this way. So that's why I have some dialogue with Tom Hanks, but he was not given a microphone. So bless him, he had the presence of mind to yell his lines. So that's why it's kind of, but it was just such a pleasure and such an honor to be there.
You mentioned Tom Hanks. Did you get to meet him or anything? I heard he was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was a great guy. I always say with him, it was what you see is what you get. He could not have been more kind and gracious. And he had produced the movie Beyond All Boundaries. And this was at the grand opening of that theater to show that movie he had made. So that's why he was there. Mm. And his involvement with veterans is immense, as well as he produced 3 miniseries about World War II. And who knows where he'll go next, but I think he just likes to make sure you're aware of the sacrifice and service of our veterans.
Well, that's good. Well, anyway, we're going to show that video in just a second, but Bill, thank you so much for being on the show today. If you ever want to come back on and or for some reason want to plug something new, we'll have you back on sometime.
Hey, that sounds great, Paul.
Okay. Well, here's the video of Bill Johnson doing Bob Hope, and it begins right now.
Uh-oh. We got somebody coming here. Uh-oh.
Hey, wait for me, folks. Hold on a minute. I gotta get up here. Hey, well, hello there. Hey, I finally made it. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Hi, I want to tell you. How do you do, folks? This is Bob the Big Easy Hope, saying these expansion projects are swell. You really should see them. It's great to support the National World War II Museum. Yeah. I want to tell you, I had to be here today. Down this National World War II Museum. Look at that. I think they've done a heck of a job. How about you? Hey, and look at this crowd. Look who we got out here. Say, you know, the troops and I go way back, even before Pearl Harbor. It was May 6, 1941. I went down to March Field in Riverside, California, to do a radio show for the airman station there. What a great crowd they turned out to be. In fact, they stopped measuring cigarettes long enough to take me for a ride in one of the airplanes. Just as we were about to do a loop-de-loop, I said to the pilot, "Hey, how come you're wearing a parachute and I'm not?" He said, "Well, they need me." Well, hey there, young man. Who are you? Oh, Tom. Never heard of you. So tell me, Tom, what do you do?
I make movies, Bob.
You do? Tom, that's great. Well, keep plugging away. Try to get your name out there a little more, would you? Make yourself known. Maybe one day you'll perform for a U.S. president. Hey, you know, folks, on my day, I performed for 12 U.S. presidents. I think I entertained 6 of them. And now, folks, I'd like to bring back a young man who's bound to make it in the TV game. Would you welcome again Mr. Tom Brokaw? Thank you, Tom. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for the memories.
All right. Hey, that's a tough act to follow, wouldn't you say that, ladies and gentlemen? A senator, a mayor, a governor, but it sounds like the museum still needs some money. Hey, you know what? Maybe I should cut my fee in half to help get this thing built. But then again, half of nothing is still nothing. But you know what? I can tell there's a lot of military brass out here today, and I just want to tell you, I know your units are going to be shipping out very soon. Hey, I'm still available. I can be in Afghanistan tomorrow. Thanks a million, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see ya.